Why is being fat celebrated? Read before downvote. First of all, you seem to be asking this in good faith. So anyone being mean to you over this question is just being a dick. I'll start by saying I don't think people are celebrating fatness in a vacuum. When you see the stereotypical post of a fat person wearing a tight swimsuit, or whatever, they're reaffirming their right and ability as people to wear whatever the fuck they feel like wearing. We all know what is meant when people say, they shouldn't be wearing that. Look at that outfit, etc., etc. The fat acceptance movement, as some label it, is a rejection of the societal pressures which tell fat people, especially women but everyone else as well, that certain clothes, behaviors, styles aren't for them because of what their body looks like. Society conditions everyone to see fatness and fat people through a certain lens. Gross, lazy, glutton. All of us are exposed to these societal ideas. But obviously fat people, by nature of being fat people, have a direct experience with this conditioning and how it manifests itself socially. Here I'll get into the more controversial stuff. Obesity is bad for you health-wise. While the exact degree of this is under debate, the scientific, medical literature is clear on the general concept of this. Most fat people know this. They don't consistently need to be reminded that the body they walk around in can lower their life expectancy. At the same time, the medical community has often refused to take fat people's medical complaints seriously, usually minimizing the issue to some form of, just lose weight. This has caused other serious and non-related medical issues to be overlooked, leading to worse healthcare outcomes and even deaths. Given this, it makes sense that fat people can be distrustful, skeptical of the same medical community that doesn't take them seriously. Lastly, I'll say this. A fringe community of extremists exists in the fat community, the same as within every group. These are the people who will fit shame, fabricate or misrepresent existing science, bully fit people on social media, that kind of stuff. These people exist for sure, but they're often held up by opponents of fat culture as if they're representative of everyone, pushing for fat acceptance, body positivity at large. They're not. It'd be like painting everyone that's into protecting the planet with the same brush as the hyper-extremists who do stuff like eco-terrorism. I think the biggest thing with the body positive movement is wanting to be respected. A lot of people like to judge right off the bat without knowing people's medical issues. I myself am a curvy girl, but I deal with a lot of food sensitivity, hypothyroidism, and anxiety and depression and previous EDs. And often a lot of people who are overweight just get pushed to the side by medical professionals. I know personally I've lived constantly being told I can't do certain things. I can't wear certain things. I can't live like other people. I'm pretty average sized. Why can't I just be a human? I think it boils down to not necessarily promoting a body type but more so just wanting to not be dehumanized for the size of my thigh. Wanting to feel like I can eat something in public without people assuming certain things about why I'm eating something. Wearing shorts because it's hot out instead of feeling like I have to hide myself for the comfort of others. TL. Doctor. People just want to be respected as a human. I don't want to be celebrated. I just don't want to be called names and be seen as a lesser human. The point is to accept fat people as people, worthy of respect just as much as fit or underweight people. They acknowledge that being fat is not the healthiest thing. But that's a very difficult and personal journey and shouldn't detract from their worth as a person. There are plenty of people that have written at length about the difference in how they're treated before and after losing a significant amount of weight. The body positivity movement is not about trying to glorify obesity and encourage other people to strive for that. It's rather a movement to accept people regardless of their bodies. ETA. Whole lotta people want to cherry-pick one statement in my whole comment and use that to spin it into basically fat people hate all over again. I read an Ask Reddit thread asking former fat people to describe their experience after getting skinny. The results are shocking. The society still treats fat people with 1,000 times less respect and less value than average people. They get fewer opportunities for dating or jobs or friendships. The difference in people's treatment after becoming thin was night and day. It's about supporting people, not celebrating their poor health. Fat people know they're fat. Fat people know they'll be healthier if they lose weight. They don't need our enlightenment on the matter. Fat people are humans too. Don't shame them. Don't treat them like shit. Becoming healthy, losing weight is a personal choice. You can't make people want to do so. Some people are perfectly happy, content as they are. It's not our jobs to convince them to think otherwise. People's prejudice is so ingrained and extreme. Even in fat people or people who think they do not have any prejudice. That a lot of enthusiasm and seemingly intense ideas are necessary to attempt to counteract that. It comes off as glorifying when in reality it doesn't even the playing field for fat people. I am obese and I never refer to myself as being curvy. Especially since I have smaller boobs and a flat butt. I know my obesity is very unhealthy and I do not promote it, but I don't tolerate self-loathing. I try to love myself at every stage. Otherwise I'll be in a constant state of despair. It is really hard to accept loving yourself when you already are filled with such low self-esteem. And when the world judges you from your appearance without knowing you. I have numerous health issues that cause weight gain, but more importantly, make it incredibly difficult to lose weight. My diet is strict due to IBS and I've worked with a dietitian, naturopath and even looked into getting a gastric bypass, but I'm not a candidate as A. I could no longer take my medications. B. It could make my IBS worse, and C. My diet and portions are not the issue. People who look at me might think I'm lazy. That I eat crap and don't care about my health. But they don't know I have chronic debilitating pain. That I have mental and physical disabilities. I want to lose weight, but having limited mobility and chronic pain makes it really difficult. In the meantime, I don't want to be shamed for occasionally feeling pretty when I manage to find cute clothes within my budget, and don't want to shy away from the world. Just like everything else, the mainstream arm of the group tends to overcorrect and overcompensate. The cruelty and joking about it really does need to be curbed. Only a few people will gain motivation from that. What they're trying to get is to get people to stop being jerks about it. But because they come on so strong, it comes off as pandering. This applies to a lot of issues today. What I like to do when people start joking or being mean or cruel is bring up that saying. Be kind. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Yes, they should have thicker skins. But are we not battling a mental health crisis? Now, that kind of overcompensation can sometimes be helpful. But I look at it like Kerbal Space Program rocket scientists do. You need a very powerful engine to get you off the ground. But as you make progress, you need different, less powerful, more efficient engines to achieve orbit and explore the universe. So the healthy person uses that powerful positivity message to get them off the ground, but need to drop that inefficient coping mechanism for a more efficient one once they get through the hardest parts. As someone who is obese with MS and has been working like hell to drop the weight, All I would ever ask for is to be treated like a normal person and not made fun of. Being overweight has been pure hell on my health and has made all of my other problems far worse. With MS, I occasionally get steroid infusions which can make my weight jump a lot in short time. I know that I'm overweight. I know that losing weight would help my health. I eat healthy and am walking 4 to 5 miles a day to try to lose that weight. What doesn't help is being treated like a child who can't control my eating. Especially by doctors who know that the medications I'm given make me gain weight. Generally, anorexic people are actually treated like they have a serious illness. When I was very skinny, I got a few comments about it, but it was always out of concern and never really insulting. I don't think anyone should have a problem with doctors, family members, and close friends etc. commenting on an obese person's weight out of concern for their health. But so many people are prejudged for being fat by strangers who know nothing about them. They're called lazy, disgusting, pigs, whales. You shouldn't be judging an innocent stranger like that if you know nothing about them. Fat activists generally promote acceptance, meaning tolerating fat people and not shaming them based on appearance alone. 'Cause you have no idea what they're going through. Whether they have an eating disorder, whether they were abused and use food to cope, whether they're trying to recover. It's harder to love yourself and your body if you think you're a fat lazy piece of shit. And when people call you that all the time, you start believing it yourself. I hope this made a bit of sense. I am morbidly obese myself. I hate the part of FA movement that tries to elevate themselves as the ideal and tries to push everyone else into obesity, too. My 112 kgs are not healthy. My joints tell me WTF with every stair step. They are not designed for that. That's obvious. All the wobbling. I can't lie on my stomach without my back going WTF. My skin doesn't find it funny how hard my belly fat tugs on it lying next to me when I am on my side. Fuck those who try to tell you all of this is glamorous and beautiful. All of this said, it's just a minority even within the fat acceptance movement. They are just annoyingly loud and obnoxious. Most fat people know that being fat isn't a good idea. And healthy at every size primarily has the goal to promote not being too embarrassed to work out in public when fat. Like, I am very self-aware of all the jiggle in sport clothing, but I need to get over myself and go to the gym despite that. And nobody has the right to judge me for that. I mean, WTF. Judge me for overeating, not for the things I do to get better. So, the first problem with your thinking is that they don't promote obesity. I'm not trying to yell at you, by the way. I'm just pointing out a flaw in your thinking and a lot of people thinking when it comes to this topic. People who promote body positivity aren't promoting unhealthy lifestyles. The term body positivity means to accept and love one's body as it is and to not judge others for the way they look. Anorexia as an illness. But most people and society would say that being thin is better. Which is why people become anorexic. They're trying to live up to those standards of being thin rather than loving themselves as they are. There is a lot of self-worth tied to how we look, and body positivity influencers are trying to point out that we have worth as human beings the way we are. And we don't need to be thinner or fatter, or have less scars to be worthy. There are a lot of misconceptions about being overweight that people shame others for. Society tells us that if you're overweight, you don't take care of yourself, or you don't have discipline, or you clearly don't value yourself. Which is not true. Losing weight is very difficult and not everyone can be stick straight. Obviously, being obese is medically dangerous, that's a fact. But just because someone is fat doesn't mean it's a moral failing on their part or they don't deserve to enjoy life the way they are. The issues many body positivity people have with this obsession with being thin is the premise that you're not allowed to enjoy life or be happy until you're thin or unless you're thin. Also, the term obese is a tricky one because someone could be overweight and still be perfectly healthy. Someone could be within a healthy weight range but have a lot of medical issues. It's too simplistic of a measurement to look at when measuring someone's health, and it's not the only one to look at. But it's one that we as a society are caught up on. And it's one that isn't always accurate. BMI is not the best indicator of health. People who are fatter have to deal with a lot of shaming and hate that is not warranted or fair. Especially from doctors who blame every problem they have on their weight without even taking anything else into account. Many people, especially in America, are overweight, and it honestly ranges from a little overweight to, yes, obese. But being thin doesn't give you a right to have a better life than anyone else, and it doesn't make you a better human being. Body positivity activists are trying to communicate that it's okay to be content with how you are. And just because they are celebrating how they look, doesn't mean that they don't want to lose weight. And it doesn't mean that they aren't living healthy lifestyles. What they're saying is, I am worthy. I have a right to be respected. And I don't have to live up to other people's standards to have a fulfilling life. I hope that helps. Obviously, not every body positivity person thinks the way I just communicated. This is more of a generalization based on my opinions and my own experiences. But why do we keep seeing fat activists who pretty much promote obesity? Because they want to be accepted. And there's enough people like them that they have political traction. As long as it is healthy in medical terms. Yeah. That's my stance too. But even below, morbidly obese, and obese, simply being overweight isn't as healthy as being a good weight. Being morbidly obese is way less healthy. But it's still not a good thing to be overweight. And it takes so very little to be overweight. I recommend the podcast maintenance phase to anyone here who is interested in perspective relating to weight. I'll put myself out there. I was once definitely someone who judged fat people. I'm not cruel. I have never expressed anything out loud, nor have I ever treated any human being differently for the way they looked. But internally, you bet your ass I painted all larger folks with the same brush. It's not an exaggeration to say this podcast has changed my life. And has actually healed a toxic aspect of my mentality. Nobody promotes obesity, and being fat is never going to be celebrated. It's all about notifying the non-fat public that fat people are actually people. 2. Not just meaningless blobs like most are treated. I've been fat and thin and everywhere in between, and really, fat people get treated like shit. So what if they finally want to be raised up to human status? And anorexia was celebrated for several years. It still is in a lot of ways. Not every person is born with the body type to be thin. But most are forced to be by standards set in the Western world. From a person who is fat, I'd like to say that we definitely know that we are fat, and it can be unhealthy and life-threatening. Some people go to the gym or diet. And others like me really don't give a fuck. We're all gonna die someday, and I'd rather not have people keep pointing this fact that I'm fat and I should do something about it constantly. Thanks. Celebrated isn't the right word. It just isn't looked down upon. And this depends on what country you're talking about. As it isn't anyone's business but their own for how they look. I'm going to start this by saying I'm 5 feet tall. At my height, 20 pounds makes a massive difference on my body shape. Over the last 15 years I have fluctuated through 60 pounds, so it gave me a wide range of experiences. At my skinniest, I could find clothes that fit everywhere. The styles suited me and how I wanted to portray myself to the world. At my heaviest I had one small section. I could wear the unflattering shapes and ugly prints, or I could go without. The price, by the way, is also higher, even for the same shirt sold in smaller sizes. At mid-range to heaviest, I complained to my doctor about my knee. I was told for 3 years to lose weight. I lost weight. They finally decided to look for other issues. Turns out my kneecap wasn't moving properly along the cartilage. I was sent to physiotherapy to correct it. I was in pain for years, but all they saw was my weight. At my skinniest I could go and eat whatever I wanted. At my heaviest I knew everything I ordered was judged. I even know a woman who would tamper with fat people's food, substituting milk, for example, when something needed cream because she was trying to make the healthier choice for them. The body positivity movement isn't about promoting being obese. It's about promoting being treated fairly despite your weight. Nobody should live in pain, be misdiagnosed or ignored by DRS because they are also overweight. Nobody should feel shame or be the subject of ridicule for existing. The stores now selling clothes designed for plus-size women recognize they should be happy in what they wear too. Having mannequins and models wearing the clothes shows them what they can look like too. There are tons of reminders that we aren't society's ideal. It's nice to be reminded we are worthy of respect too. I am personally convinced that the vast majority of fat adults are aware of how fat they are. In most cases, if the readily available weight loss methods actually worked, they wouldn't be fat. The persistent cultural myth that fat people are fat because they are lazy gluttons with no self-control or self-respect is as pernicious as the similar myth that poor people are poor because they are lazy and stupid.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.